Aloha everyone, Ronnie Landis here, and I want to welcome you to the official Ronnie Landis podcast show. Now, if you have been keeping up with the last 4 shows, you may be wondering, why is this now all of a sudden called the official Ronnie Landis podcast show, and why is it not the Holistic Life Mastery show as it were before? And simply put, I just liked the official Ronnie Landis podcast show. It was more accurate to essentially what we're doing here. It's not tied to another entity or another brand per se. This is the official Ronnie Landis podcast show, unfiltered, unscrambled, and just brought to you real, raw, and live, and bringing on some of my most esteemed colleagues, people that I look up to as role models, and just really incredible content brought to you from me. Therefore, once again, it is the Ronnie Landis podcast show. So anyways, before we jump into today's episode, I want to divert your attention for one quick minute over to the holistichealthmastery.com website. The Holistic Health Mastery is my online nutrition certification course, my holistic nutrition certification course, and this is one extraordinary program that anybody that is seeking to become a health coach, is a health coach, is in the healing arts of some sort, some form or fashion, or you simply just want to advance your holistic health and natural nutrition education, you definitely want to take a look at this program. This is an extraordinary course that covers A to Z, the very basics of raw living food, detoxification, superfood nutrition, tonic herbalism, cleansing protocols, hormone health, Chinese herbalism, and all the top herbs. There's so much going on with this course, and I don't want to take up too much time to explain it any further, so please go over to holistichealthmastery.com, check it out, and if it resonates for you, I clearly encourage you to take the plunge and join the incredible community of health enthusiasts that we have in that program. Okay, so with today's show, I have the lovely, beautiful, elegant, and sophisticated Diana Stobo coming on. And Diana Stobo has been a very good friend of mine for many years. In fact, as some of you may realize, this interview was done a few years ago in my archived interview series from the last podcast I had in 2012 and 2013, I believe. And I'm bringing this one out. It's an oldie but a goodie. And it's just a really great conversation from a masculine to a feminine perspective. And me and Diana had known each other for a number of years, and so we have this really interesting, charismatic bond, this connection that we have in our dialogues. And some of that permeates through, it precipitates through in the conversation. So this is a really fun, really dynamic, and a really sexy conversation that I had with her about getting real, getting raw, and essentially getting naked, because that's one of her taglines is getting naked with Diana Stobo, and that has to do with shedding all the unnecessary weight, all the obstructions in your life, whether that be in your body, in your diet, or otherwise, emotionally, psychologically, relationally, and so forth. Shedding all the baggage in our life so we can really find out who we really, really are. And that's what I love about Diana's work, and that's why I love this interview. So without further ado, I want to bring to you Miss Diana Stobo. Hey everybody, this is Ronnie Landis, and I'm really excited to bring you the next edition of the Expanded Health and Human Potential radio show. And today we have a really special show for you guys. I have an amazing guest who I'm just really, really excited to share with everybody. She is an educator, a lifestyle coach, and the award-winning author of 2 really awesome recipe books called Get Naked Fast and Naked Bliss. My guest today is Diana Stobo. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ronnie. I'm doing so great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Nice. That's a nice introduction. I love how you introduced me. I feel larger than life. And I am.
And you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really nice to have you on, and I'm really excited for everyone that's going to be listening to this, especially the moms and the women out there that have, that I've talked to over the years of being in the health field and expressing their concerns and trying to make this lifestyle work with all the responsibilities and the different challenges that they face. And I just think this is going to be a breath of fresh air for everybody.
I totally agree. I'm happy to be a breath of fresh air. I love what you're doing, Ronnie. I mean, you've been out there talking, and you have inspired people, and you're educating people, and you have a great voice. I think, I was so honored to be able to write in the back of your book, and I truly meant it. To write anything about somebody, you have to come from a place of such deep authenticity. And what I think about you is, for such a young man, being interested in this. I mean, you could do anything with your life, and you've chosen to educate people and take your time and energy. You could be playing the field, you can be an athlete, you could be doing anything, and you've chosen to really rally for health and wellness, which is a very different story than mine. Because I mean, I had a family, I had children, I lived that life of the perceived, what do they call it, the millionaire's life. Everything was perfect, and it ended up in a very unhealthy situation where I was falling prey to the standard American ways. And I wouldn't say that I was a standard American by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I'm Persian. I lived in a very healthy lifestyle, but with medications at my fingertips and stress and lifestyle, I ended up ballooning to 246 pounds. I was extremely unhappy. I was extremely unhealthy, and I had to make a change. You, being this young man, have chosen to, instead of getting yourself in that ridiculous pickle in the first place, is take the bull by the horns and start your life off right. And I commend you for that. I'm so proud to know that the newer generation, and it's true, you're part of this generation of people who are just coming in going, I am aware. I want to be aware. We always learn from the generations before mistakes. It's,
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I deeply appreciate that. And, it's funny because I feel like I didn't necessarily choose this path. It kind of chose me, actually. And, I all those things that you mentioned as far as like running around, kind of playing the field and being an athlete, I did all that. That was my life, actually. And I was an aspiring professional athlete, and the way that it chose me was through my serious knee injuries and just the repercussions of training really hard, training my body, but not giving it the fuel that it needed. And eventually the clock started to, I just couldn't write. My mind wanted to write checks that my body couldn't cash. Eventually I had to turn to this, and it was shown to me. And I think each one of us that has decided to kind of lead lead as a voice for this message has had to go through some kind of trauma, some kind of initiation in order to have the experience to help other people. And it's not always a choice that we consciously make, but it's shown to us through some kind of life alteration. And that's what I see with you and your story. You have such an amazing story of transformation. One of the most amazing stories that I've encountered. That's why I love sharing your videos with people. You just have such a bright light. You're not dogmatic in any way, shape, or form, which I think is a breath of fresh air in the health food community. And I think that's what people want. You know, people are just trying to make better choices, better decisions, trying to inspire their children and just get on with their lives without having to be inundated with all the varying opinions on health and how you should live your life. It's just really, how can we make this fun, exciting, sexy, and integrate it step by step into our basic lifestyle? And you do that really, really well.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a realist in the fact that I would love to live a more serious, lifestyle. I would love to be able to, slather green juice on my body every day and, squeeze lemon down my throat and, and, pray to the sun gods and but there's just so much that is not, it's not accessible. It's not totally accessible to the average person. And if they think they have to go to that extreme, then they won't even step into it.
Yeah.
And I would rather you take a baby step into your health and feel better, and then take the next step, one foot in front of the other until you can find a path that works for you, instead of saying it's this way or not at all.
Right.
That's just going to turn people off.
Yeah, getting into duality. I think the dichotomy concept is stemming from is the biggest breakdown in all relationships and all health, politics. I mean, we see it in our society in every kind of form imaginable, and it's no different in the health equation. So I totally agree with you. I think that's the most brilliant conclusion that I've personally come to, is it's not all or nothing. In fact, if you just take one step forward, that's all you need to do today. Take another step tomorrow. Let it lead you. Don't try to force the outcome. Just let it lead you to where you naturally need to go, and it'll be shown to you.
Most people that I have worked with, and I have worked with thousands, I shouldn't say most people, I would say a good portion of people I work with, step into it, and then they go to somewhat of an extreme for a short period of time.
Right.
And then they find their homeostasis in what works in their life. And they learn along the way many, many lessons, not to push this on anybody else in their family, not to push it on their friends, to just stand and let the people around them bear witness to their experience. And what I'm talking about is when you start changing the way you live, when you start changing the way you eat, the way you look at life, everybody around you gets on guard. They're either going to latch on and say, I want to be like you, or they're going to run the other direction, or they're going to try to sabotage you. They might try to sabotage you. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Why would you do that? How come you don't? Come on. What I hear is people go, how come you don't want to go out for a drink anymore with me? I do want to go out for a drink with you, but then I'm going to feel awful the next day.
Right.
So what I'd rather do is go for a walk with you.
Right.
And the other person feels defensive because it starts to make them look at their own lifestyle and how they're numbing their pain, or how they're recreating, or how they're feeding their soul. And so people, they find they have to step back a little. They go forward and then they step back. And then they find that place of groundedness. So they start vibrating at a whole different energy and attracting different people. But what most people have learned is not to push their goals or their desires on others. They can just stand in their own process and let people bear witness. And those who want to come along, come along. And I'll tell you something, Ronnie, I've been doing this for a very long time. And when I started, it was lonely and meek. In fact, one of the reasons I did not use the word raw in my book is because people were shying away from it. That was a scary word when I started writing my book. And it turned a lot of people, I'm not doing that. I mean, that was the attitude was, I'm not doing that. And if you Googled raw food on the internet, there was 2 websites, and one sold these little sausage foods that were basically, and I think they're still in some marketplaces, they're a wrapped seaweed with dried vegetables that looks like a pencil. And that was like the only thing you could buy. I think kale chips were out, but kale chips weren't even, that was something that you just didn't even look at. It was one of those things you saw in the supermarket that you never touched. Mm-hmm. So we have come so far, and raw food Googled on the internet now is like, what is it, 110 million hits or something?
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. And because people are catching on, it actually is changing the planet. It's changing the way we feel. It's changing the way we think. It's changing the way we look. And, I have to say, it changes the way we think and the way we feel. Okay. And that is more important than the way we look. And when you start your process, it's first about getting healthy, but then you think healthy physically. What happens is you start getting healthy mentally and emotionally, and it just I want to say spirals, but it actually snowballs into this larger than life, beautiful, transformation.
Yeah, that's incredibly well put. And I feel like too, with everything you said, what it's really about, definitely for me at this point, and I think where a lot of us are landing, is that, the food is beautiful. And I think, saturating yourself with the raw food, the live food idea, and practicing that for a period of time, it opens you up to a new set of possibilities. It opens up your brain. It opens up different neurochemistry that makes you think differently. Your nervous system starts to get finely tuned. You become more sensitive. You start feeling people around you. You start feeling your environment. You get more tuned in with, maybe your pets or the animals or nature, and it starts to literally transform you into who you really are. Like, and this is and I'm gonna open up the first question that I have with you, is that what does getting naked mean to Diana Stobo?
Ronnie, the reason I use the word naked is because when I wrote my story, which is not out yet, it's my life story, what resonated with me the most is that I said I wanted to feel good in my body naked. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's really what I've always wanted to feel. Not about looking good in the mirror or, I had no goals but to feel good in my body naked. And it was like, bam, bam, bam. I just kept hearing it over and over again. So my book is called My Body Naked. And when I started shopping publishers and doing talks, someone said, you should write a guideline about getting naked. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. So and someone asked me, they're like, how can I get naked fast? And I said, that's it. That's the book, Get Naked Fast. So I started writing Get Naked Fast based on questions people ask me. And it's a marvelous guideline to starting to get naked. And again, I've sold, nearly 50,000 copies of this book for people who want to get naked. And it means stripping away the foods that weigh you down. Stripping away the foods that weigh you down, the things that are causing you to feel awful. Get them out of your system and immediately substitute them with things that make you happy, things that make you feel good in your body naked. And to get it into, the pragmatic rules here, it's no dairy, no wheat, no sugar, no meat, no caffeine, and no alcohol. However, there's room for movement inside there because there's so much more available to us now. Like, I encourage sprouted grains and sprouted wheat, and I don't mind low acid coffees. I think that they're not as hard on the body. Mm-hmm. And when you start to take all that stuff out, and start integrating more live food into your body just changes. It has a reaction. it starts to feel alive. It starts to get younger looking, more energetic. Like you said, your cognitive function is off the charts. Your sensitivity to nature, to animals. I think that's funny you said that, because my house is like, I'm like Dr. Doolittle. I've got so many animals in my house now. I'm like, how is this happening? They're like coming to me, and they all follow me.
Yeah.
They follow me wherever I go. I'm like, there's more people in this house. Why are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
So getting naked is about feeling good in your body naked. And my mission, and I had to come up with a mission statement when I started my brand. And it really came down to not telling you what to do, not creating a rule book, but empowering you to make the choices, empowering you to eat for health, vibrance, and beauty. Empowering you. And whatever that means there are no rules. I'm not going to tell you should only eat one way or the other. Yeah. You should live in your power, feel good in your body naked. And people say to me, well, I like to eat meat. I want to eat meat. I want to eat eggs. I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. And we start talking about what kind of eggs should I eat? What kind of meat? And how much should I eat? And how should I prepare it? And so I said, that's fine. If that's what your body really wants and it really thrives off of it, who am I to say no? Your body is different than mine. So I give them ways to do it. I always say, eat your, egg yolks, uncooked. Make sure your meat is grass-fed, organic, and eat it rare, so you have some enzymatic activity to help it digest itself. There's ways. I steer away from the dirty birds in general. I'm not crazy about birds. No. It's a different mindset than vegan. And, a vegan mentality is about not eating animal. And I particularly don't like it. But there are a lot of people who don't have that mindset. And I'm not going to stop them from feeling empowered to eat for health, vibrance, and beauty. So what works for me doesn't necessarily work for the other person. But I do have a standard. And I teach how to listen to your body. So that was a long answer to your naked question.
That's beautiful. And just touching on that, I find that we have to draw the line on what our personal standards are for our own life, and then how that is projected into the audience that we're speaking to, and what's our tolerance for our message to other people. We certainly want to uphold our personal standards, but I think by being the example, that's gonna speak volumes far greater than, we talked about this, and this is just kind of common sense to us at this point, but I think it's going to speak far greater volumes to people, to their heart, because we can intellectualize everything. We can create pros and cons for anything. You can do that for anything under the sun, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, that's just intellectualism. And if we really want to affect change and not just infect negativity, we have to touch people in their heart, and that's going to be done in an array of different ways. And, it's just helping people get on to what they're going to do, not necessarily what they should or what we think they should do. Right.
That's interesting. I have this wonderful client right now, and she'll give you she keeps coming back. I've coached her for several sessions, several group sessions, packages. She's been talking to me for quite a long time, and she does not want to be told what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as she is told, and I figured that out from the second, some people call me and they're like, tell me what to do. They really want to know what to do. Give me exactly what to eat. I want to do, and this one, if I told her what to do, she would run the other way. And so I do the reverse psychology. I teach her foods do to her body, how to listen to her body, what her body needs. And resistant as she is, she just emailed me the other day, and she's gave me her diet. She's integrating green juice into her diet every day and a smoothie, and she's lost 7 pounds. And I don't even want to know the rest, because I'm so happy that she's taking the steps and she's choosing it on her own. And instead, because what I could have done is told her she was doing everything wrong, which you just said, instill negativity and punishment. That's the greatest one, punishment.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah. And that's probably the most detrimental thing towards health over everything else, is that we're punishing ourselves. We're feeling guilt, shame, fear, disappointment. These things have a greater effect on our energy systems and just our health in general than just the food. So if we can combine good food with good thoughts and feelings and feel good about ourselves, like you said, like, how do I feel good naked in my own body? Like that's a question that I think that's a great question that people need to ask themselves. How can I start moving towards that?
Exactly. I do, Ronnie, I do these 10-day detoxes. And what's funny is we don't even talk about the food. I mean, they get the full, recipes, menu. They get all the information. But what we talk about is living our truth. We talk about, deeper questions about releasing old issues in our tissues. We talk about freedom and being free to be who we are, speaking up. We talk about what's important to us, how we see ourselves, who we truly are. And the people who get on the calls, the people who do the work and the workbook are the ones who have the most amazing results, because they're releasing not just the food toxins, but they're releasing the emotional toxicity in their body.
Very well put. Well, let's jump into a few more questions, and then we'll take the guest questions. So I'm curious on, what is Diana's perspective on chronological aging?
It happens. My perspective, well, that's leading a very broad question. We cannot deny the fact that we age. From the second we're born, we grow to a point and we decline at one point. And the question is, how do you keep yourself growing? And my response is, if you're not growing, you're dying. So whether it be you're keeping your mind healthy, your body healthy, everything healthy, as eternally healthy as you can, dying and aging is inevitable. Can we live for 140 years? Yes, I believe we can. I believe we're moving in that direction. I'm almost 50 years old. I look at myself sometimes and I think, my mother did not look like this at 50. And I certainly know she wasn't doing the things I'm doing at 50. And I think that we're preserving ourselves by, feeding enzymatic activity, keeping life force energy into our bodies. And those who do are on the road to, longevity. And I don't necessarily feel that we need to do anything harshly to our body, to move it towards longevity. I think what we need to do is take care of what we're given and not do anything to harm it.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you remember this, years ago, there was these twins, these Southern women who, I think they hit 110, and they lived together. So they had a beautiful relation. I think they were sisters or twins. I can't remember. And they were interviewed. They were thin. They were African American. They were fairly thin, hearty 110-year-olds. They looked maybe 60, maybe. And they said, we eat, we don't eat meat. We eat all plant-based diet. We don't drink coffee. We don't drink alcohol. We love each other. We never fight. We work together in harmony. And we think we got, 30 years left in us. We've never had disease. We've never been to the doctor. We've never taken medications. And I just thought, God, that's it. That's it. I'll tell you what will age you. what will age you is medicine, synthetic product in your body, on your body, in your body. What will age you is anxiety, fear, anger, pain that we bring on ourselves. What will age you is toxic foods. What will age you is not having love in your life, not being playful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those things will age you.
Yeah, I was just, that's funny you bring that up. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about a book that I'm going to be working on, and I don't have the exact title, but it's basically, the theme is going to be called Eating for Sex.
That works for me.
Yeah, and so, but... And that's kind of how we're going to package it, but it's really going to get to the root of, how do you eat in a way that brings out the beauty ideal? How does it bring out that enthusiasm? And, how do you have a healthy sex life through nutrition, diet, and lifestyle? And I think that's one of the things is that if you notice in relationships, nowadays, people are having less and less sex. And I think it's hindering the relationship, but it's also hindering their health. And I think a lot of that, has to do with constipation. For sure. People are backed up, and it makes them, and over the years of all that.
Well, that's not sexy.
That's not sexy. No, not at all.
That's not sexy.
Right. And so they don't feel sexy, and therefore they're not engaging in that incredibly necessary act of intimacy. And, I think that is one of the things that, I just thought I had to bring that up because you mentioned like playfulness, and we've lost that somewhere down the road. We started to demonize certain things. We started to demonize sex, and the enthusiasm and the playfulness that we have with one another is in my opinion one of the reasons we're here on the planet. It's like you can be on the best diet ever, but if you don't have that enthusiasm, that curiosity, that playfulness for life, and you're not sharing it with other people, what is the point?
Well, I'd like to comment on this whole sex talk.
Totally.
If I may. First of all, you have to get naked, okay?
Absolutely. Well, that's for sure.
I want to comment on the sex talk. First of all, do you remember, I don't know if you know Joan Collins. She was actually asked, and she was aging quite well. And she was from the 80s, probably when you were born, I don't know. But they asked her, she was 60 years old, and they said, "How do you look so young?" And she says,
yep.
And she says, "I have an orgasm every day."
This is how my conversation with my friend started, from exactly what you just mentioned.
Yeah, it was like the comment heard around the world. And I'll tell you something, from that day forward, I ensured myself an orgasm every day. It was a must. And, I'm working up to 5. And I just,
oh wow!
I'm not being crass. I'm actually being honest. I just think that in my 20s, my 30s, and even creeping into my early 40s, I thought that was it. That I was not going to have a sex life.
Right.
I thought that I'm going to be one of those people who dies without having great sex, without having that feeling of complete ecstasy and release and openness and intimacy and reception. And I changed that. Unfortunately, I had to lose a 25-year marriage over it, but I had to change that because I was going to die. It was like medicine for my body. It was the tantric medicine that I needed in order to thrive in the world. And I wholeheartedly agree that we need to have sex for longevity. Mm-hmm. And I've just wrote an article about sex, actually, in my blog, about all the things that sex brings to the table for health. I think the foods we eat completely allow us to have a more vibrant sex life. We feel sexier in our bodies naked. we're able to feel more, or more sensitive. We're also able to tune into the energy of our sexual partner. But that being said, you said it was kind of taboo, that sex has gotten sort of a bad name. Well, I'll tell you why. There is a lack of responsible sex.
Yes.
And people use it because of fear and anger and greed and all those things. And they're using sex as a way of getting their emotions out. They're not learning to share an intimate space with it's an intimacy. It's something where you're sharing with somebody that should be open, honest, and truthful. And I think people are just irresponsible with it. And so a lot of people get hurt over it. And because it's not done with proper intention. So that being said, I just wanted to clear up that it's not that it's gotten a bad taboo name, just that so many people have been used and abused in their sex. And so they've started to pull away, or they turn around and use and abuse other ways. That's why it's gotten a bad name. Mm-hmm. Sex itself is so beautiful. It's the coming together of two souls. And, it should be looked at that way. And I don't think until you get healthy in your body can you get healthy in your sexual relationships.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and that's kind of the premise of what I'm putting together. I think that's a really important insight, an important message that people just need to gain a greater grasp on. And just like so many things, our food practices, that is one of the ways that we've given away our power and our accountability and our personal responsibility. And really, really good topic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you need anybody to help you write that book, you just let me know, because I've actually have an outline for myself.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm all about getting naked. What happens after you get naked?
Excellent. We'll have to talk about that. Okay, so all right. So we have a little bit of time left. Let's jump into the questions from the viewers. So Krista Burris has two questions. The first one is, what challenges have you had to face in making this life transformation?
What challenges? Well, kind of have a few of them, and I think the greatest challenges are as you change, people around you have a hard time with that, and you have to come to a place where you're in full acceptance of your change and not let the other people interfere with your progress. That's a process. It can be lonely for a while. And if you're like me and you're completely out there and you're open and you have a whole community of friends and they depend on you to be a certain way, and then suddenly you transform and you're no longer that way, you may lose a lot of your community. The beauty is that you gain a whole new community. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're open to letting go of what will fall away when you change, it'll all work out. Like I said, that is a challenge. I mean, again, I was married 25 years, and my change did not go well for the marriage. The comment was, I did not sign up for this. And I thought, oh, how can you not sign up for this? I'm your wife. And it's like, I didn't want this. And I'm like, wow, that's a bummer, because I can't stop the change. You can't stop the progress. Once you start making that shift, towards what I consider a better life, you can't go back. It's impossible to go back.
Yeah. I can definitely relate with that. And just one, and something I would add on to that is that I've learned, and this is happening more in my life at this present moment, as I've stepped fully into my destiny, as I like to look at it, and who I was supposed to be and who I am now. A lot of those people that were like family, and I had to walk away in order to find my path. And some of those people walked away, and some of those people are still away. But what's beautiful is that a lot of it's come full circle. A lot of those people from my past have shown back up, and they may not be totally in it like I am, but they get it, and they respect me, and they let me be who I am, and I let them be who they are, and we can still have that respect for one another. And I think that's kind of that's another insight too for people, is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You just have to walk your path and let the pieces fall where they may.
Right. Exactly. Other challenges, it's funny. I can't remember the pain, I really think that once I made the decision to take my life into my hands, to take my health into my own hands, it just all opened up. I mean, life just kind of started to unfold for me in such a positive way that I think that was probably my greatest challenge. Giving up foods, learning new things, that's just been an adventure. There's actually no challenge there. I think what's challenging during this, trying to live a really healthy lifestyle, is that the world has not quite caught up. And traveling and not being prepared in various situations can really set you back, because you're working against the grain, and it can be a little bit confining to not be able to travel and do the things you want to do and have everything at your fingertips. It's a struggle sometimes. I travel a lot on business, and when I'm out and about, I can't even find a juice anywhere. I just can't, and I need it. I need it every day. So that's changing, but just not as fast as I'd like it to.
Right. Well, that leads me into our next question from Krista is, what is your vision for scaling your lifestyle philosophy to the mainstream?
Well, again, I think we answered this question, so I think that's really beautiful, is that you find what works for you. But have tools and prepare for your health. So I consider myself a bridge between mainstream America, and the whole raw food community, because I'm able to, like you said, not be dogmatic in my philosophy, and allow people to find out what works for them. So it creates a lot of opportunity. And I know that most people I work with, they live a certain lifestyle while they're home. They travel a lot. I tend to have 35 to 55-year-old women mostly. And they seem to have a fairly, established lifestyle. They cook in the kitchen, they prepare their foods, they have jobs, and then they travel. And when they travel, they kind of go awry, so to speak. They get into their travel mode, and then they come back, and I teach them how to do, I call it the 3-day detox, which is just to get rid of whatever you carried around for the last week and start fresh, reboot the system, restart, rejuvenate, and get back on track. Everything is working towards mainstream right now. Mm-hmm. I think we're all working towards it. If you read my book, Get Naked Fast, you will see how mainstream it is. Everything there is accessible and easy to do, easy to digest mentally and emotionally. It's completely laid out for you in such a simple way that there's not anybody who can't do it. Now, people will say, I can't afford it. America will say, I can't afford it. I got a whole thought process around that too. You can't afford not to. Most people who can't afford it are on medications that they're spending money on.
Exactly.
And they're spending, $1 on a, McDonald's hamburger that's going to kill them, when they can spend $1 on a head of cauliflower that can be made into a fabulous soup. So, or 79 cents that will feed a family of 5. So there's ways to look around it. It's just, we just have to change the mentality and teach them. We're teaching, teaching without preaching, which is really important.
Yeah, I think people have kind of sick of the fire and brimstone preacher, and it's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing to be able to do this work and to be a bridge, a channel, to be a voice for a message that really needs a voice. And that's really all I think that's all it needs, is that people have to come into their own power and find their own voice. And raw food is, in my personal opinion, the greatest doorway for that self-exploration to take place. And the way it empowers people is absolutely astonishing.
Exactly. And, Ronnie, I was on a whole raw food journey. I was 100% raw for a very long time. And I realized that, with children, my lifestyle, it just wasn't going to work for me. And quite frankly, I didn't want to do it anymore, 100% raw. And, but most of the time, if I look at my diet, I am. I just don't put that restriction on myself.
You don't think about it.
I don't think about it. Right. And I think it's really important that people understand that you don't have to be anything. You don't have to have a name to what you're doing.
No.
You don't have to be on a vegan. You don't have to be on a raw or a paleo or a vegetarian.
You have to defend yourself all the time.
Exactly. What's your diet like? It's like, my diet is whatever my body needs at that time.
Right. Like, it's funny because before I did this, no one asked me, like, oh, maybe for sports and stuff they'd ask me, but, just in my day-to-day life, no one was like, what diet are you on? As if it was like a regular thing. Everyone's on some kind of diet, which most people are, just in a different format. But, it's kind of funny. Like, we create these like mathematical calculations for like, okay, I need this many carbohydrates and this and that, and it's this kind of diet. And it's kind of weird. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, it is. You're right. How many times do you get the question, well, where am I going to get my protein from?
Oh, man.
Wow. You know what? I've gotten to the point where I really have to be, cognizant of my answer, because I want to say, are you really going to ask that question again? Haven't you paid attention? Really?
I usually ask people, like, because I'm I'm kind of blunt. Like, when people ask that, I'm just kind of like, where do you get your protein? Or something like that. But yeah, I kind of just like smile and just, whatever.
Right.
Okay, let's get into the last question while we still have a little time. This is from Alex Mack. How does Diana structure her meals throughout the day? Lighter to heavier? This is relevant.
Wow, well, yeah, it is. I put in my body whatever my body wants. But I'll tell you what, my diet consists of this. I get up in the morning and I have a 20-ounce glass of water by the side of my bed every morning. And I drink that. And sometimes I'll go downstairs into my kitchen and I will have either a little apple cider vinegar and water, or I'll make a green sludge. I call it my morning sludge. Or I'll have, which I, put clays and green stuff and all these powders that I love. Or I'll have a lemon water and I'll flush the system a little bit more. And then I make my own almond milk, or I'm really hot on hazelnut hemp milk right now, where I put 3/4 hazelnut and a half hemp seed and make this wonderful milk. And I make what I call my morning glory, which is it's my low acid coffee, a banana, stevia, and it's with milk, and it's like a milkshake. It's so good, and I look forward to it. And I call it my morning glory because you can imagine why. Mm-hmm. And then I go on my exercise routine, and, I come back and immediately I have a green juice. And I usually drink about a quart of green juice a day. I thrive, love everything about green juice. I'm really hot on watermelon juice right now, and I'll sip on that throughout the day along with some other water. And then around 4 o'clock, I get hungry. And 4 o'clock is when I like to have a salad, a big hearty salad. And that's when I usually have my main meal. It's not pretty. I'm not saying it's pretty and I sit down and have a normal meal. I mean, it's like a trough. It's like a horse in a feed bag. And I lash it onto my ears and I just start chomping at the cud. And I enjoy it. And then that's kind of it. I'll probably have another juice or smoothie around 6. And I like to go to bed empty. I don't like to go to bed with a lot of food in my stomach. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I've been traveling for 8 months, so much travel, and eating at dinners that I had no control over. And I sort of inched my way into this unhealthy place. And I kept saying, oh, that's okay. Well, I'm going to be home for 3 days. It only takes me 3 days to get back. And I'm going to get home for 3 days and do my detox. Well, guess what? I wasn't home for 3 days long enough. I kept going out for a week, home for 2 days, out for a week, back for 3 days. So I'm actually in a little unhealthy pickle, and I'm getting myself out of it right now. And it's amazing. I actually dawned on me today how you can inch your way out of that wonderful routine of yours that works for you so well. So you have to find your homeostasis. You have to find what works for you. You may listen to that and go, that's not enough food for me. It's way enough food for me.
Yeah.
You know? But I forgot that when I was traveling. Because everybody else around me was eating so much more, I began to eat so much more of the foods that I don't really love. You know? People would say, God, you eat so healthy. I'm thinking, you have no idea. This is not healthy for me. So, you know, we get carried away and we think we can't get to that place. I think the less you eat, the lighter you eat, the longer you live.
Absolutely.
And I want to, you know, I don't care how long I live. I really don't, Ronnie. I just want to live healthy and feel good in my body naked.
Yeah, the quality in your years, not so much the quantity. Although I was talking to Peter Ragnar yesterday, and my theory on longevity is actually very similar to the Taoist tonic herbalists in China, where they believe that it was all about the quality of each day. And I feel like the more you want to be on this planet, the greater your chances of being here longer are.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Well, the question was not longevity as chronological aging.
Right.
And it's a very interesting thing because I'm sure you see this as well, Ronnie. So you meet people your own age, and some look 10 years older, and some look 10 years younger. And
absolutely.
Why is that? You know, I don't know. And I see people who are extremely health conscious, raw foodies, you know, herbs, elixirs, you know, just super, you know, athletic, and chronologically they look like they're moving a lot faster than I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think DNA, genetics has a lot to do with it.
Well, that would open, like, for me, that opens me into a huge topic of, like, epigenetics and all the factors of that you know, has to do with, and we don't have time for that, but it's but you know, it's a really interesting discussion altogether, and I think that's what the whole topic on health and, you know, quote unquote longevity and redefining what that even means is all about. So yeah, you know, this was such a great interview. I'm so happy you came on. I know that people are going to get so much out of it. It sparked a new sense of enthusiasm in me. So I'm very much appreciative of your time.
Well, thank you. Well, I love talking to you. I miss you. You're wonderful.
I miss you too. We gotta get together.
We have to stop meeting like this.
I know.
I'm looking at your very handsome face on Skype right now, and you're doing something right. So, you know, just keep going. Keep going. I commend you. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Where can everyone find you, get in touch with more of your work?
Well, DianaStobo.com is the best way to find me. I'm actually redoing my entire website. My the new developer says to me, he goes, "Your site, your web presence is being held together by bubblegum and duct tape."
Wow.
And I said, I kind of thought that, so that's why I hired you. So hopefully, I'll be able to get more information out and in one setting, so people can get there and really get the full idea of what's going on. But DianaStobo.com, you can always email my customer service if you have any questions about anything that I provide. I have a membership site. I do a 10-day naked challenge monthly. And, I have a whole bunch of coaching, and I do these teleseminars all the time. I do live seminars probably, I don't know, I do 5 or 6 a month. I haven't done a lot of public speaking lately because I've been building my business over here and working one-on-one coaching a lot. But my infomercial, my juicer infomercial just came out. Uh-huh. And yeah, so I'm hoping to get a lot more national speaking, momentum going again. I was doing that for a long time, and I got a little tired. So I'm ready to start picking that up again. I think that people who come to me generally have met me somewhere, and they can't meet me when I'm sitting in my house working behind a computer, can they?
Right. Yeah. It's true. Got to get out there with the people.
Exactly, and I love working with the people. That is the best part of my job. The naked challenges are really great because we usually get a nice group. Well, we always get a nice group of people where we get very intimate for 10 days, and it's virtual. We do it on phone calls, but it's very intimate. I have people who do it month after month after month until they feel that they've grown wings to be able to fly on their own, and I cannot tell you how wonderful it is. It's such a great program. I'm going to take it to a mainstream level because it's way bigger than any detox that you can sign up for. It's a really, really gorgeous program that I put together by the people, not by me, by the people, what they wanted.
Well, that sounds really exciting. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, this has been a pleasure.
Pleasure is always mine when it comes to you, Ronnie.
You're so sweet.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this version of the Expanded Health and Human Potential Show with our guest, Diana Stobo. All her information will be on the website. You guys have probably been looking at it this whole time, so I don't really need to mention that. But I hope you guys have an amazing day, or whatever you guys are doing. Use this information for your highest good, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Love you.